When you think of the philosopher Confucius, you probably get this image of a super wise, maybe kind of stern old teacher, right? But what if I told you that the ancient texts describe him as two totally different people, depending on where he was? Now, this isn't some ancient superhero story with a secret identity. It's actually a masterclass in social wisdom that, honestly, is a bit of a puzzle.
And here it is, the heart of the mystery, coming straight from the ancient writings. At home, in his own village, Confucius was so quiet and reserved, people thought he wasn't much of a talker. But get him in the royal court, and suddenly he's this sharp, articulate speaker. So, what gives? Which one was the real Confucius? Was he just being a fake, or was there something way deeper going on?
All right, so here's how we're going to crack this case. We're going to dive into these two different personas. First, we'll check him out in his hometown. Then we'll see him in action at the court. After that, we'll uncover the one brilliant idea that ties it all together. And finally, we'll see what this ancient wisdom has to teach us about our own lives today.
Okay, first stop, let's take a trip to 2,500 years back in time to Confucius's neighborhood. Now, this isn't the Grand Palace. This is his community, with people he's known his whole life. So how does a famous sage act when he's just at home?
This line tells you so much. He wasn't walking around trying to be the smartest guy in the room, He wasn't giving lectures to his neighbors or correcting their pronunciation. Nope. He was simple, he was modest, he was quiet. He wasn't there to be a master. He was just there to be a good neighbor. And his actions really showed it. At village get-togethers, he'd always wait for the elders to leave before he did. It's a small thing, but it's a powerful signal of respect. And get this, when the village held this old exorcism ritual, something a big-shot philosopher might just scoff at, Confucius would put on his fancy court robes and stand there, respectfully, on the side. He was honoring their traditions because he was one of them.
Now let's just flip the switch completely. We're leaving the quiet village and stepping into the high-stakes, super formal world of the royal court. And here, that humble neighbor just vanishes, and a totally different Confucius steps into the light.
In the court, his way of speaking was perfectly tuned. It wasn't just what he said, but how he said it. When he talked to officials who were junior to him, he was relaxed, he was frank. But when he was addressing his superiors, his whole tone changed. It became formal, precise, respectful. Every single word was chosen with incredible care. His body language basically became a form of poetry. He wasn't just walking into a building, he was performing respect. As he entered the main gate, he'd bow low, as if it were this great, powerful presence. When he passed the empty throne, his face would shift, his steps would get faster, showing honor for the power it symbolized. He would even hold his breath as a sign of his deep awe. Every little thing was a deliberate act of reverence.
And this is just the amazing part, this incredible balance he had. Before the ruler, he projected this air of total awe, what might almost look like nervousness. But at the same time, he was perfectly composed and in control. This wasn't weakness at all. It was the ultimate show of controlled respect for the ruler and the office they represented.
So, okay, we've got these two very different pictures, right? The humble guy from the village and the super careful official. It feels like a total contradiction, but it's not. It turns out they are both connected by one of the most important ideas in all of Chinese philosophy. And that idea is Li. Now, it's often translated as ritual or propriety, but honestly, that doesn't even begin to cover it. The best way to think about Li is as a kind of deep social intelligence. It's not about just blindly following a bunch of strict rules. It's about mindfully, thoughtfully choosing the right actions, the right words, and even the right attitude for every single situation you find yourself in.
And boom, there it is. The puzzle is solved. Confucius wasn't being inconsistent, he wasn't being fake, he was being consistently appropriate. The principle of Li told him that in his hometown, with his neighbors, the right way to be was humble. But in the court, with the ruler, the right way to be was meticulously reverent. See? The context changed, but the core principle, acting with complete mindfulness and respect for the situation, that stayed exactly the same.
And this idea, Li, it wasn't just for show. It shaped every tiny part of his life. It was in how he ate. He wouldn't eat food if it wasn't cut properly. It was in how he dressed. Certain robes went with certain ceremonies. And it was in his basic human decency. When his stables burned down, you know what his first question was? Not, what about my valuable horses, but was anyone hurt? That, right there, is Li in action. It's this deep, constant concern for what is proper, what is orderly, and what is humane.
Okay, so this is all really fascinating as a history lesson, but what does this 2,500-year-old idea have to do with us, trying to get through our crazy modern lives? Well, it turns out a lot.
The truth is, you already get Lee, even if you've never heard the word before. I mean, think about it. You don't talk to your boss the same way you talk to your best friend, right? You don't act the same way at a fancy wedding as you do at a backyard barbecue. We all do this. We call it code switching. We change our language, our behavior, our whole vibe to fit the social setting. The only real difference is that Confucius did it with this incredible level of mindfulness and intention.
So if there's one big thing to take away from all this, it's this. Real integrity isn't about being this rigid, unchanging person no matter what. Real integrity is about being the best and most appropriate version of yourself for the people you're with and the place you're in. This kind of mindful behavior isn't just about having good manners. It's a way of showing deep respect for everyone around you, and that is the absolute foundation of good communication and, well, everyone just getting along.
So, I'll leave you with a question to think about. In your own life, where is your hometown? That place where you can be relaxed, quiet, and just unassuming. And where is your court? That place that demands you be sharp, articulate, and careful. Just recognizing the difference between the two, well, that's the first step to mastering this really powerful ancient social wisdom.